Shocking, I know, right? This time, Congresswoman Cori Bush is actually facing criticism for, well, she was hiring private security while leading the defund the police movement. You can't make it up. You'll definitely want to see her unhinged response coming up. Also, we have the very latest from the recall election in California, where Gavin Newsom, the current governor, is actually underwater in one poll as they have tightened considerably. Larry Elder, who is leading in the polls, could very well be the next governor of the Golden State. That's all coming up straight ahead. And later, Dan Bongino, Geraldo Rivera, they will be here to throw down over what is the single biggest, largest, most massive super spreader event, and that is our southern border. That is the Biden super spreader. But first, it is official. Biden's dark summer is now upon all of us, and Dr. Doom and Gloom, Flip-Flop Fauci, is predicting that it's all about to get a whole lot worse. And, of course, despite promising to get COVID-19 under control, getting three vaccines handed to him and therapeutics like Regeneron handed to him, and vowing that life would return to normal, well, this Delta variant is now raging. Democrats eagerly ramping up restrictions all across the country. Maybe somebody might think, hey, maybe we should close the border where there's a high rate of COVID positivity. Just a thought. Conrad de Blasio in New York announcing vaccine passports or you will be shut out of New York City. Los Angeles now is moving in a similar direction with a similar mandate for restaurants, bars, gyms, even retail locations, and, of course, concerts, sporting events. And breaking tonight, the entire state of California will soon mandate vaccines for all of its 2 million healthcare workers. Hold on a second. The very people that risked their own lives every single day during this pandemic to save the lives of others. You're going to mandate that they get the vaccine now? What if those medical heroes contracted COVID? What if they have what's called natural immunity or T-cell immunity? Well, we now know the prestigious Cleveland Clinic, they now say if, in fact, you had COVID-19, you don't need any vaccine. What about people with rare conditions that prevent them from getting the vaccine? What happens to them? Are they shut out too? Forget medical privacy, forget doctor-patient confidentiality, forget about the freedom that America used to have to make your own decisions based on your own unique medical history, your current medical condition. Democrats now want to force your hand, and it's kind of like, no matter what, one-size-fits-all medicine for everybody, led, of course, by the non-medical professional politicians in the swamp and the non-medical professional members in the media mob. You had one MSDNC host not understanding why the Biden-approved vaccine mandates, well, why could these things be so controversial? Where do I begin? Take a look.
And I don't understand those who are against showing proof of vaccine. Have they never had to show their passport, show their ID, or take their kids to school? It makes no sense to me.
It's the same network that doesn't want you to provide voter ID. I just think that's a little hypocritical. Now, of course, why not listen to the idiots, all the great doctors over at MSDNC? And not to be outdone, one fake news CNN analyst is pushing for unvaccinated Americans to be banned from flights. You mean like the travel ban for people that are identified as potential terrorists? They can't fly? And more medical geniuses on TV. And then to make matters worse, the Biden administration is still flirting with the possibility of, yep, you got it, new lockdowns. Now, in-person learning may not actually return in certain school districts. That's almost a certainty by now. The White House is attempting to roll out an in-school vaccination program for the schools that are open. Do parents now have to worry that they might not be consulted and that the schools will be vaccinating their children without parental consent? I mean, please tell me that's not even a possibility. That left-wing radical authoritarians would go that far. I guess time will tell. I've been kind of shocked along the way, so why not be shocked again? Either way, following the CDC's new guidance, many schools will require children as young as 3 to wear masks at all times. In fact, Biden's so-called health experts, the ones that have been wrong the whole time, they're advising that all Americans, vaccinated, unvaccinated, wear masks in any crowded setting. But of course, don't expect Joe Biden or Kamala Harris to actually follow their own guidelines, because today, more mask confusion at the White House, because you see there, not a mask in sight among the adults, and definitely no social distancing. Here's Joe, actually, once again, back to his old habits, sniffing hair and touching every person in sight. And remember, earlier this week, the NIH director actually recommended that you parents at home, that you wear masks at home in your house to protect your children. I guess that order never made its way to the White House. If you're confused by all of the evolving rules and regulations seemingly changing by the hour, you're not alone. The mixed messages from the Biden administration have been pretty hard to follow. Might need a calculator at some point to keep up with it, and especially since they don't actually follow any of their own rules. The only consistent message from Team Biden is complete and a total lie, because for months the White House has viciously attacked Florida Governor Ron DeSantis for not imposing more rules, more regulations. He's the one guy that got it right. He mobilized every single state agency early in the pandemic in Florida for the very purpose of protecting the very large elderly population that is in Florida. And they did a darn good job of it. And all of that freedom in Florida, I guess, is just too alien and dangerous, according to Team Biden. And today, after DeSantis ripped Biden for allowing thousands of COVID-infected migrants across our border, over 1 million, Biden responded. Take a look.
Mr. President, do you have a response to Governor DeSantis, who is using your words about don't be in the way, and he's saying, I am in the way, to block too much interference from the federal government? Your response, Mr. President? Governor who? DeSantis? Why is there
Is that funny? All right, pretty sad, but we honestly have to ask, was Biden actually trying to insult DeSantis, or did he actually probably forget who the governor of Florida is? Now, the good news is Governor DeSantis, he kind of kicked Biden's ass this week and set him straight. But at this point, given Biden's obvious cognitive decline, it is a legitimate question. Either way, while Biden spins in circles with an endless stream of mixed messages every second, minute, hour, seemingly of every day, Governor DeSantis, he has been consistent. No lockdowns, no mask mandates, no vaccine mandates, no vaccine passports, no matter what. And guess what? His schools have been open for in-person learning for an entire year already. Now at least one major sport is also coming out against mandate. Got to give props to our friend, UFC President Dana White, who just announced that vaccine requirements for the UFC fighters, that's never going to happen. And when Dana says it, he means it. Trust me. And let me be clear. My message has always been consistent. I'm not telling you what to do because I'm not a doctor. Take the virus seriously. It can kill you. Research extensively. Take into account your medical history, your current medical condition. Talk to your doctor, doctors, medical professionals you trust. And then with information, you make the decision that is best for you based on your unique medical history and condition. This is the United States of America, supposedly the land of the free and the home of the brave, not the land of Joe Biden government mandates of everything and taking away everyone's freedom. Oh, and one-size-fits-all medicine from people that have zero medical experience. Our great system relies on a free people making their own decisions. Giving up that freedom will not save us. In fact, it will make everything a whole lot worse for years and years to come. The same geniuses that destroyed our school system can't keep their cities safe and secure, that lied about Obamacare, and that raided the lock boxes for Medicare and Social Security that are now headed towards insolvency. Here with reaction, Fox News contributor Laura Trump, former White House physician, Texas Congressman Ronnie Jackson. Laura, let me start with you on the political side of this, because on the political side of this, let's see. Your father-in-law left not one, not two, but 3 vaccines. Then, of course, he left a therapeutic known as Regeneron. I've had people that, a good friend of mine, fully vaccinated, got tested positive on Saturday, had Regeneron in less than 24 hours. I just talked to him about an hour ago. He's feeling great. As a matter of fact, he's out fishing alone in his boat, happier than he's ever been. He's like, yeah, I still have 7 days to quarantine. I'm doing great. He's happy. But look at how Joe Biden took all of that was already done, 1 million shots going into people's arms a day. When your father-in-law left office, how could they possibly screw it up this bad with open borders and 1 million people and a high rate of positive COVID cases?
It does make you wonder, how could they do it, Sean? The answer is it's because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are supposedly in charge of our country. So until we get a handle on the immigrants that are free-flowing over our southern border, many of them infected with COVID, many of them never get tested. They certainly haven't had the vaccine. And until we stop using taxpayer funds to ship them all over the country, we are giving them bus tickets and plane tickets paid for by the American taxpayers to infect the rest of the country, then I don't think Joe Biden has a leg to stand on here. It is absolutely insane. It's almost like the southern border itself. All they had to do was leave it alone, Sean, and it was already done for them, but they couldn't help themselves. They confused a lot of people, though, during the campaign, because don't forget, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris told people, well, we're not sure if we're going to get the vaccine because it was developed under President Donald Trump. Well, how ridiculous a statement is that now? Of course the vaccines work. Of course they're safe. But last time I checked, I liked your monologue, Sean. We live in the United States of America. We have freedoms here to decide what is best for us. So if we're going to start mandating everything, then I guess let's get rid of alcohol again. Let's get rid of high-calorie foods. Heck, let's get rid of cars, because people could injure themselves in cars, too. They've got to let people start being Americans again and start living life again.
You know, Dr. Jackson, and 57% of Americans actually don't think Joe's running the White House, but that's a side note. But we now have well over 1 million illegal immigrants. We're not testing anybody. We have Joe built the cages that were overcrowded in the middle of a pandemic. No testing whatsoever. No vaccinations, no mandates for the people in Joe's cages. No, they get a bus or a plane ticket to the city of their choice, and they're now being spread out all across the U.S. And I would assume that many Americans actually now got COVID-positive test results because of Joe's open border policies with that large a number of people and a high percentage of COVID-positive rates. Is that a good assumption on my part?
Absolutely, Sean. I mean, the report was that there were 7,000 COVID-positive people that were released into the city of McAllen just over the last few months, and like 1,500 just over the last week or so. I've been on planes. I've been out to the border multiple times. Every time I get on a plane from the border, it's packed with these people that are flying all over the country. And now we know a lot of them are COVID positive. I told you before, when I was out there, they were documenting to me that 25% of everybody that crossed the border was COVID positive, 20% when they engaged them, and 5% during their time with either the Border Patrol or HHS. So there is a huge problem on the border, a huge number of these people coming across. They're almost all unvaccinated. So a large proportion of them do have the virus, and they're infected with it, and they're being shipped out all over this country. And the Biden administration treats it like it's a completely separate reality, what's going on down in the border and the risks down there versus the rest of us. It's crazy.
Isn't it over 150 countries? You know, if we're worried about variants from different countries, you know, shouldn't we have, if you're coming to America, if we're going to mandate Americans get a vaccine and mandate they wear a mask and mandate parents wear masks in their own homes with their kids, maybe we should be mandating that you get tested, and maybe we should first enforce the laws of the land when you have over 1 million illegal immigrants, then dispersed to all the states around the country. Now, I would argue, tell me if I'm wrong, doctor, if this sounds logical to you, if anyone gets COVID as a result of Joe not enforcing the laws, allowing illegal immigrants with COVID in the country, and people get sick and die, does he play a role in that death?
Oh, absolutely. He's totally responsible for that. And, right now, if we're in this public health crisis that we're obviously in right now, it's his responsibility, his duty right now to shut that border down right now. That border is a huge problem right now. And if this does take off, I'm telling you that we are going to be able to trace it right back to Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and their border policy. That's what's driving this right now, and it needs to be shut down. It's going to be a huge problem for this country, and he's absolutely responsible.
Laura, I know that you have a lot more sense than I do. Don Jr. was on last night. I told him the same thing. You got out of New York brilliantly, and I'm the idiot that's still here. And I mean that. I'm totally dumb to stay here. But you're down there. Now, could you imagine if the same rules were applied down in Florida? I don't think the people of Florida would take it.
Oh, absolutely not. There's a reason that there are so many people flocking to Florida. It is because it is a free state. And gosh, what a success story when you look at COVID and the way it was handled in the state of Florida. You just pointed out kids have been in school in Florida in person. Small businesses have not been forced to shut down and are never going to reopen. Look at the housing market in Florida right now. It is skyrocketing through the roof. And you contrast that with these Democrat-run states like the state of New York. It is absolutely abysmal and terrible what has happened in these states. So sad, should have never happened. Everyone should be taking a page out of the Ron DeSantis playbook and start running their states a little bit more like Florida.
Yeah, I doubt you're wearing a mask around your precious kids. I know you have two beautiful kids. I tend to think in your own home, you're probably not wearing that mask that NIH director is recommending. Can't see. Mom and Dad, where's your mask? Inside your house. Yeah, quick.
I'm going to tell you, too, I just want to say real quick, I want you to have me back on. They better not start making our kids mandatory for our kids to have this vaccine. That's going to be over the top, and that's coming. You mark my words, but that is going to be horrible when that happens.
There's got to be a tipping point. The American people, they've been lied to. They've been told A, B, C, and D, and they're wrong every time. I'm sick of it, and so are many Americans. Laura, thank you. Ronnie Jackson, thank you. We turn now, to Joe Biden's super spreader event of all super
local Catholic charity out here that has been housing those COVID-positive migrants in local hotels, quarantining them. I asked one of their representatives at that press conference today, how many migrants do you guys currently have quarantined in hotels throughout the Rio Grande Valley here? He told me he didn't know, and he advised I reach out to the charity's director. I did that. I asked her. She told me that she has been advised not to comment about it. Who advised her not to say anything? We don't know. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Bill Maloogian, thank you. Here with more is former Texas governor, former energy secretary, our friend Rick Perry. I did a show with you down at the border. Now, there are people that are going to likely die because of what Joe Biden's doing down there. And Governor Abbott is bending over backwards, trying everything he can possibly do to stop this. And Joe insists on the open borders in your home state of Texas. How does this end? How do we protect the people of Texas and then the rest of the country because they're dispersing them in the dark of night?
I think one of the outcomes of this is that Texas is going to be an incredibly red state for a long, long time because this is now past a Republican or a Democrat. This is about human beings. And as you saw with those judges, people who've chosen to be on the Democrat ticket through the years, and they have a president that doesn't care about them. And I think that's going to drive a lot of people to a party that does give individuals choice, does give people the ability to decide whether or not they're going to take vaccines.
But Governor, we got a more immediate problem. Burdensome mandates on every American citizen and no control at all. They haven't even been testing people, and that they're processing every day, over 1 million. And they're just dispersing them all around the country. People are going to die because of Joe Biden.
Completely and totally irresponsible. I don't know how the man goes to sleep every night and lays his head on the pillow without his conscience really hurting him, recognizing that what he's doing is putting America. Maybe he just doesn't care about these border states. I don't know.
I don't even think he knows what day of the week it is, Governor. I really don't. 57% of Americans don't even think he's making decisions.
You know, these governors that are standing up, understanding what the 10th Amendment is, pushing back on this president and on this federal government, God bless them. Whether it's DeSantis, whether it's Abbott, you know, wherever, governors recognize that their responsibility and their allegiance to the United States Constitution is, well, we know Biden doesn't give a tinker's damn about the Constitution. Look at the CDC mandates. He doesn't care. And we got to stand up as a people and fight back hard using the 10th Amendment, using everything that we've got to send the message to Washington, D.C. Not here, not now.
Burdensome mandates on Americans and open doors for illegal immigrants, and we won't even test you. Governor, former Secretary Rick Perry, thank you, my friend. When we come back, Geraldo Rivera, Dan Bongino debate. And tonight, if Joe Biden really cared about COVID, your family, your safety, why would he be pushing to ramp up restrictions, mandates, vaccine mandates, mask mandates, shutdown mandates, even no-fly lists being discussed against we, the American people, against all of you? But leave the border wide open, no testing, no vaccine mandates, nothing. Now already released well over 1 million illegal immigrants since January 20th, hundreds of thousands of people every month, tens of thousands of COVID-positive migrants, then dispensed to the interior of the entire country. It is beyond a dereliction of duty. People will get sick and people will die. Science, fact, it's math. It's sad. These are real Americans, real lives. It's a disgrace. It's an attack on American sovereignty. And it comes all while vaccine mandates for you law-abiding Americans are coming coast to coast. Joe Biden, well, he seems to want more COVID restrictions everywhere for every American, but not illegal immigrants that don't respect our laws, our borders, and our sovereignty. And Joe Biden isn't the only far-left failure who's imploding. Look at these new photos. Although, if you go there and you try and defend Joe, as much as I love you, I'm going to burst a blood vessel.
You're going to ask me about Andrew.
Well, no, I'm going to ask you about open borders, no testing, no vaccine mandates, dispersing people all over the country. Geraldo, our fellow Americans will die because of this stupidity.
Talking about stupidity, actually, I reject that characterization, that harsh characterization.
Oh, it's brilliant?
Let's go to smart? It's absolutely foolhardy, and I lament.
It's asinine. Well, he's a jackass for doing it.
I believe in vaccine mandates. I believe in vaccine passports. I believe that everybody coming into this country, legal, illegal, alien, Earth person, wherever they are from, if they're coming into this country, I insist that every one of them is vaccinated. I want mandated vaccines
Call the White House.
for
Tell
every
Joe
immigrant.
Biden. Tell Joe Biden. Look in the camera and tell Joe that Americans will die because he's not testing them.
Mr. President, I want everyone who is crossing into the United States, whether by land, sea, or air, to be vaccinated. If they don't want to be vaccinated, turn them around right there. But let me also say this. I heard Lara Trump speaking, extolling the virtue of Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, who has really
done
the best job, arguably.
Let me bring Dan in. We're focused on the borders.
This relates to that. On Tuesday in Florida, there were over 16,000 new COVID infections. Yesterday, Wednesday, in Florida, there were nearly 17,000 new. Sean,
DeSantis
please
saved every older person. He used every state agency. No, this is not bash Ron DeSantis.
There were 17,000
a lot of these cases are coming here because of Joe. Dan Bongino.
This has nothing to do with Joe.
I want to say
yes, it does.
Infections yesterday.
Dan.
Geraldo doesn't, about Ron DeSantis, he doesn't know the numbers. I live here. Florida is 26th in COVID deaths per 100.
Dan, it's Dan's
Geraldo, it's not my fault. You never know what you're talking about. It's not my fault that you never research anything before you come on the air.
You are so full of it. That's why I hate coming on with
Folks,
you.
please
because
look
you
it
are
up
such
to
a
prove
cheap shot.
how silly this
You're
guy
a
is.
backstabbing
This
cheap
guy-
shot.
Geraldo, let Dan talk.
Geraldo.
Dan.
He doesn't like to do that, Sean, because he always gets caught never knowing what he's talking about.
Facts.
And he's embarrassed.
Stick to the story.
And his position on the border. I did stick to the facts.
I'm embarrassed to be on this air with you. That's why I'm embarrassed.
You never know them. And then it's unbelievable. And your position on the border
me $1,000? You want to bet $1,000? You want to bet at that? You want to put your money where your mouth is? You want to put your money where your mouth is? 16,000 infections Tuesday.
Guys,
17,000 infections
you gotta let him
in
talk.
Florida with Governor DeSantis.
Let him talk.
As long as he's not talking about me, I'll let him talk.
Talk, Dan.
You're on this segment with me, you dunce. Well, how am I not going to talk about you? What is wrong with you? Are you okay? Listen, on the border, his position is ridiculous. So let me get this straight. You want to take away the rights of American citizens to put a medicine or a treatment in their body while simultaneously granting super rights to non-citizens who get to cross our border and get a free vaccination.
Were you not listening?
Despite saying the border, that makes. Do you want
Were you not be vaccinated? Everyone coming across the border should be vaccinated.
Across the border legally first. Why don't you cross?
I don't care if they cross legally or illegally. I want them vaccinated.
Okay, there you go.
The most important thing is they get vaccinated.
So you just proved my point. You just proved my point. You want to grant a set of rights to non-citizens, right? You want to allow them to walk in and out of the country while I have to stop at a line at a passport station to come back as a citizen, while you want to take away actual citizens' rights over controlling their own bodies and the medicines that go in it. Geraldo, your position is so ridiculous. Sane people around the country are looking and clawing at their faces right now. What is this guy talking about? It doesn't make any sense.
Did you take the bet on the 17,000 infections yesterday in Florida?
Geraldo,
did you take that bet or not?
Let me wait.
Now,
Geraldo,
notice how he changes.
No governor. Hold on a second. This is important. No governor in this country took every state agency and immediately protected the most vulnerable population, got them the vaccine first, and that was Ron DeSantis. Every state has had a hot spot. With the Delta variant, now we're learning, oh, people that are even vaccinated, they're now getting the virus. But I talked to Ron DeSantis, and Ron DeSantis has already mobilized every state agency again to make Regeneron and therapeutics for fully vaccinated people that get breakthrough cases of COVID so that they won't go to the hospital or die. No other state is doing it, Geraldo. It's happening down in Florida.
Wait, Sean,
pretty close to 100%. My turn.
Last word.
My turn. Pretty close to 100% of all hospitalizations in Florida, as in the rest of the country, are unvaccinated people. And when you, Sean,
who did better? Wait a minute, I got a question. Who did better? New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Michigan, or Florida? What state did better, Geraldo?
Florida. He doesn't know, Sean. He doesn't
Florida, Texas, South Dakota.
Let me speak. You asked me a question. Let me answer it. Until recent weeks, Florida did a great job. Governor DeSantis did a great job.
I got to go.
Sean,
we got to go, but I want to remind people. Hold on. Dan's show this weekend, Unfiltered. How could you imagine? You could have all the private security she wants, but that we need to defund the police for we, the little people, I guess, all of us, you know, not her. Take a look.
You want to see me die? You know, because that could be the alternative. So either I spent $70,000 on private security over the last few months, and I'm here standing now and able to speak, able to help save 11 million people from being evicted, or I could possibly have a death attempt on my life. If I end up spending $200,000, if I spend $10 more on it, you know what? I get to be here to do the work. So suck it up, and defunding the police has to happen. We need to defund the police and put that money into social safety nets because we're trying to save lives.
Would you like to see the threats I get? I'm sure they might shock you. Anyway, I guess safety security is only the aristocrats in the swamp and the sewer. and not for the rest of us. Joining us now with reaction, Congressman Dan Crenshaw, Leo 2.0 Terrell. Congressman, probably all of us right now, I would assume, Leo, it's probably happened to you. Dan, it's probably happened to you. I've been doing this 33 years. It's happened more than a few occasions with me. Yeah, you get threats if you're a public figure and you express political opinions. Dan?
Yeah, that's right. And look, I'm happy that she has private security, but I just wonder if the citizens of St. Louis could afford $70,000 a year. Exactly. But I wonder if the citizens that she represents could actually afford $70,000 a year in private security. And God knows they need it. St. Louis is one of the most dangerous cities in America. You have a 1 in 51 chance of being a victim of a crime in St. Louis. There's been 109 murders there this year. And 100 of those victims have been black people. Okay, and they're not being killed by cops, they're being killed by criminals and murderers. And you know who chases criminals and murderers? Well, it's cops, and that's exactly who she wants to defund. And this goes directly against what her community actually wants and needs. 81% of the black community favors the same or more policing. And here's the big takeaway here. We have to do away with this notion that the Democrats are not this radical party. They are a radical party. This isn't some fringe activist that you just played on TV. That was a Democrat member of Congress, and a very popular one at that. Right? Member of the squad. They have the highest social media following. They have real influence into the Democrat Party. Defunding the police is not just some radical talking point. It's happened across the country. And in American cities, murders have gone up 33% this year. It's because of defunding the police. It's because of this sort of social justice bail reform where they're letting criminals out on bail instead of putting them in jail. And our communities are being killed and hurt. And she doesn't seem to care. She doesn't seem to care. She relies on these horrible social justice talking points, and she's doing exactly what her citizens and the people she represents don't want.
Leo, I want to be very clear. I want Congresswoman Bush, every elected official, I don't care what your politics are, we need to protect our elected officials. But we also need neighborhoods that are safe and secure and that have law and order, because without those things, you cannot pursue happiness, can you? And the hypocrisy is, fine, she'll get the private security, we'll pay for it, but she's simultaneously defunding the police that protects the rest of the country.
Let me first of all say I agree. I don't want any harm to occur to Congresswoman Bush, but how dare she? She talks about flaunting $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 or her private security. And what about the black people in Chicago, LA, in Washington, D.C.? They don't have $100,000. They're just trying to put food on the table. And she is not helping black people. She's gaslighting black people. She needs to pick a side. Either she helps the black people in her community or she goes with the criminals. It is insulting for her to sit there and say she's doing the work. She's doing the work for no one. She is destroying black communities by taking away their only line of defense. Police. Black people want police. And so for her to go up there and talk about her ability to spend $70,000, $80,000, $100,000, who in her community have $100,000 to spend? It is insulting. She doesn't represent anyone, and she doesn't represent black people. She represents criminals.
When we come back, thank you, Leo. Thank you, Congressman Crenshaw. When we come back, we got photos from the New York Post. Governor Andrew Cuomo poolside.